of your LEAP lesson 13 assignment. So this is going to be the actual lesson, and you'll walk through this assignment with me. If at any point you need to pause and stop so you can get caught up and kind of understand what we're going through, that's fine. Now we've skipped a couple of lessons because the last lesson that we did in LEAP was LEAP 9. So we've skipped a couple. We're on 13. So you're going to hear me at the very beginning of this lesson refer to lesson 12. You have not done lesson 12, so I'm going to kind of walk you through what lesson 12 was about so that you can understand how to do this lesson for lesson 13. Notice at the very top of your assignment, it says, recall the rule you developed for Raymond's reward. If Z represents the initial amount and Y represents the amount that he has after his grandmother triples what he started with, we could represent it as Y equals 3, and then there's that symbol that's a dot and Z. Now, where it's talking about recall the rule, I'm going to jump back to lesson 12. Raymond was working for his grandmother, okay, in lesson 12. And Raymond started off with a certain amount of money. And for his reward, Grandma would triple his amount, okay? So, for example, Z is going to represent Raymond, all right? In order to get Grandma's reward, she will triple it to get Grandma's reward. So this was the equation that was written in lesson 12. You've got Raymond. When you times it by 3, you get Grandma's reward, okay? So in lesson 13, this is how it looks at the top of your page. Y equals 3. They've got a little dot to represent the multiplication symbol and Z, all right? So for A, it's going to ask, why do you think the equation correctly represents this relationship? All right, this was the relationship from lesson 12. This is the one it's showing in lesson 13, the one that we're on. Well, they're the same, okay? The only difference for A is it's the same equation, it's just flipped, okay? So that's what you want to write for A. It's still representing the same thing. This way I'm just showing Grandma's reward total is on the left-hand side of the equation, whereas here I'm showing it on the right. You may even want to add that the multiplication symbols are different, but they still represent the same operation. You're still multiplying times 3 to find Grandma's reward for Raymond. So again, it's the same equation, it's just flipped. That's for A. All right, for B it says, if Raymond started with $90, how much would he have after Grandma paid him? Now remember, Grandma is tripling what he starts with, okay? Tripling with what he starts with, all right? So I'm going back, and if I'm going to just start off and use this original where we're representing Z, there's Raymond. He starts off, in this case here, it says that he starts off with 90. So I know how much that is. I don't even have to put a variable for Z. I know that he starts off with 90. And again, it says if Raymond starts off with that much, how much would he have after his grandmother paid him? Remember, Grandma is tripling his amount, times 3. Times 3. So Grandma is tripling his amount. So think about for a minute how much he would get paid if Grandma triples his amount. Hopefully you were thinking $270, which is pretty nice. Because 9 times 3 is 27, and then there's that times 10 to get that 0. Okay? All right, so for C it says, using the table you developed, construct a graph that shows the amount of money Raymond had before and after he received his grandmother's reward. Now, we have not plotted yet our input-output tables on a graph. So you're going to see what it's going to look like. A lot of times you have variables that represent the different axes. Okay, you've got an axis that goes down, you've got one that goes across. All right, we are going to use the same variables that we've been using in our equation. So Z is going to represent good old Raymond, his starting amount, and Y is going to represent what he gets after. Okay? So what I've done for C is I've created an input-output table for us. And I need you to write this. You can write it, if you need to, right here underneath the table, because we're going to, or underneath the graph, because we're actually going to use it to plot. So here's Raymond starting. Let's say that he starts off with $1, okay? And Grandma triples that to get his reward. So 1 times 3, that's where you're getting 3. Then let's say he starts off with $2. Well, if I triple it, 2 times 3, my reward from Grandma is $6. If I start off with $3 and I triple it, 3 times 3 gives me 9. If I start off with $4 and I triple it, 4 times 3 is 12. And then again, if I start off with $5 and I triple it, I'm going to get $15. Okay? So input, output, input, output. All right, so again, my rule is the same rule that it's been. It's going to be my starting number, okay, times 3, which will give me Grandma's reward. Okay, I haven't changed that. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to plot this on the actual graph. All right, and you've never done this before, so I'm going to show you an example of what it's going to look like plotted on a graph, because we've never actually taken an input-output table and actually graphed it. Okay, so let me show you my copy and my version of it, so you can see exactly what I've done, because I want you to be able to do the same thing that I did. All right, so here's my bigger version. Okay, so you can follow along with me on yours. I told you that you have 2 axes, okay, and that's very important. Do I label this Y? Do I label this Z? Do I label this Z? Do I label this Y? We don't know. So I'm going to kind of help you through that. Remember, we said Z is represented by Raymond's starting number. So Z is going to be represented on this axis here. And Grandma's reward is going to be on this one here, okay? So do that now. All right, remember we said that on our table that Z, we're using the starting numbers of 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. So we have to show that down below. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and then over here, we showed our Y, and we went ahead